In the past 7 days, including today, I have worked 76 hours on a construction site. I have not had time to play video games or energy. When I've had one spare hour here or there, I haven't gone, oh, it's time to play a game because it feels too similar to work because it requires some amount of effort. In this time, I haven't been able to develop. I haven't been able to work on art. I haven't been able to do any of this stuff or even enjoy games. But there are still lessons to be learned here. And today I want to talk about how this chunk of time where I'm not even touching game dev or I'm not even touching games relates to games and game development. And also why I'm doing things this way. Why am I going so deep into this other thing? And how does that serve my long-term goals? Let's get into that. This is Game Develop Repeat, and I am your host, Chris. Rather than talk about one specific game this week, we're going to talk about not playing any games and how that relates to being a gamer, right? Being somebody who plays games and has played games for a very long time. The number one thing that I would say about it is that it helps you enjoy gaming. I think that stepping away from games for a while, having a little bit of a cleanse, is really nice. I think we build up a tolerance to gaming. We get to a point where we keep looking for the next game, the next game, the next game, and we go, this one's not that good. This one's not that amazing. This one's, they all feel so old. It feels fine. It feels tired and overdone. And then there's a point where you go, oh, wait, I've just been playing these so much, and it's not really having the impact that I want it to have. Now, my current break from gaming is unintentional. This is not something that I consciously decided to do. I got into this job thinking I was going to go 8-hour days and then do Twitch streaming immediately after the 8-hour days. And then I realized that they were offering like double overtime on certain things. And I went, well, we're going to dive in deep, at least initially, and make some money and just get myself set up and build up the reputation of guy who is willing to work hard, right? So that is one of the things that is going on there for anybody curious about kind of the background of why I've suddenly stopped streaming and why I may have trouble forming thoughts coherently here, because I am, as we speak, quite tired. It is a rough road. But one thing that I found interesting is that I've been enjoying my day on average. Like, if I just look at my whole day, I enjoy it just as much as I do when I'm playing games consistently. I think I play games for enjoyment. At least that's what I've always thought. But I don't think that's fully the case. It is true. And I'm also not saying that I play games just to kill time, though that is part of the equation as well. I play games for something else that's hard to put my finger on. Yes, it's to kill time. Yes, it's for enjoyment. Yes, it's because this is fun, that's fun, whatever. There's an element of accomplishment involved, which is very important, but I don't think that's this missing thing. Excuse me, I'm going to mute my phone. You may hear that on the recording. I apologize, but I'm not redoing this take because I literally do not have time to do that. I will pass out and be unable to get an episode published if I try to redo this take. So, as I was saying, I don't think that I'm playing games strictly for enjoyment or for a sense of accomplishment or for generally improving the amount of fun that I'm having in a day. I mean, that's part of it, but if I look at the big picture of my life, I'm just kind of having a good time regardless. And then there is one element, though, that gets me. If I game too much, then at the end of the day, I go, I didn't accomplish anything. And then on the flip side, if I dedicate myself too much to a job that I dislike, to something that is really frustrating me or like feels like it's taking up all my spare time, and then I get home and I'm not working on the projects that I love. This has happened to me in the past. This isn't happening right now because I just started this job, but it is a thing that's happened in the past, and it is something I look out for. If I get too into a job and it drains all my energy, then I get home at the end of the day and I get a different version of the problem that I get if I game too much. If I'm gaming too much, then it feels like, oh, I didn't accomplish anything. I suck. This is terrible. If I didn't accomplish anything in my long-term goals because I was getting focused on like work things and other people's expectations and financial goals, then I end up in this place of I'm trapped and I didn't get anything done on the things that I love. I don't have enough time and I didn't get anything done on the things that I love. And that's tricky. But there's a middle ground here. And one of the great things that I've realized by doing this absolutely absurdly tiring schedule this week and last week too is that I have more time than I thought I did. And I have more energy than I thought I did. And it's about navigating that. Not to say that you can always work at the pace that I'm working at right now, because I can't. But if I have a 40-hour work week on stuff that I'm not really that passionate about, and then I get home, then I can start working on some stuff that I love, and I can level out that whole thing, right? And I've done that before, and I'll do that again. But sometimes I get into the mindset that I think some of you have probably gotten into too, where I go, 40-hour work week, I have no time to myself at all. I can't possibly accomplish anything outside of that time. You do have time, and you have weekends, and there's, well, I don't know your specific schedule, but the point I'm trying to make is like, there may be more availability than we think there is. And then when you hit that wall fully, at least for me, like I have fully hit the wall. I'm not able to squeeze in more stuff than I am currently doing. I am searching for hours in the day desperately. I'm like, what about this? What about that? How am I going to get out to get Christmas presents for people? It's like that level of, it's just absolutely packed. But the biggest takeaway from this, I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. The biggest takeaway from all of this is I'm so busy and so focused and all of this stuff that I'm not really like thinking about how much I miss my game dev stuff right now, which I do, by the way. I want to keep developing games. I want to keep working on this stuff, but I'm willing to take a month and a half and just give it a little space and so on and so on. I'm going to have a few days off soon, and I'd like to use some of that time to dig into some game dev projects, and I'm very interested to see what my work ethic is like on that with all of this having happened. Will I dive super deep into it? Because now I'm much more grounded in reality versus being very, how do I put this? Computer focused, very like internet focused, digital media focused, and not really like touching things in the real world and getting a feeling for the pace that you accomplish things at, because, digital reality is very different from actual like physical reality, right? The frustrations of my new day job are very different from the frustrations of programming, in that you'll get something that seems simple and is weirdly difficult for reasons that are not cognitive. Like in programming, you get things that are weirdly difficult because it's just like, ugh, Jesus, this is just stupid. In my job, the things you run into that are difficult are like, I need duct tape and I can't find it anywhere. And it's like, well, there goes 20 minutes of the day just finding duct tape so I can do this one thing. Or, oh, that thing is 2 inches higher off the ground than I can reach, and I'm not allowed to do anything to get 2 inches higher. So how am I going to access that without getting in trouble? There are a few answers to that question, some of which involve just making sure that nobody sees you. But there are other valid and viable tricks in some cases, in most cases, I'll say. The thing is, I wonder how that kind of work ethic is going to affect my game development. And what I'm trying to get at here is I'm always relating everything back to games in this podcast. And I'm always connecting games to my own game development. I'm always connecting games to my life. I'm connecting this to that and that. This path goes both ways. We can connect reality to games, to game development. And I've talked about this kind of thing before, I guess, but I firmly believe that games and the enjoyment of games have to be grounded in reality to be genuinely satisfying. If there's not some grounding in having a real life experience that you enjoy, having a journey through life that you're working your way through, having something to relate the games to. If you don't have something to relate the games you play back to, then the games aren't that enjoyable. You know? And sometimes it's worth taking a little 1-2 week hiatus from gaming. So what's going on with my game development? It is basically just on a little hold. It's basically just chilling while I get to grips with this current schedule, make a little bit of money, get on my feet, stabilize a little bit, couple months probably. And then it'll be a reduced number of hours that I'm available to commit to it, but I think once this levels out, I'm probably going to commit more time to it. I'm not sure. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen, or at least more focused time. There's something about having just this like crushing physical job that makes me go, game development seems like a nice thing to do after work. Now, granted, currently I'm too tired to do it after work, and I can barely form a sentence some days, except to complain about work and tell stories about things that have already happened. I should say I can barely form an original thought after work some days, so it's a little rough to dive into it. But soon enough, we'll get back on the development path. What is it about development that I enjoy so much? This seems like a great opportunity to explore that and remind myself of that, to make sure that I do get back on this path when it's time to. And by the way, the podcast is not leaving. I'll find something game dev related to talk about every week, no matter what. I have 25, 27 years of life playing far too many video games to draw from, and we'll have things to discuss no matter what. This what is it that I enjoy about development? That's what I just asked myself. I believe the thing that I enjoy most about development is creating something that expresses an emotion in a way that I cannot express otherwise, or that conveys an experience or a story in a way that I cannot otherwise convey. I love telling stories. This is becoming even more clear to me because I have been regaling my family with stories of a coworker who is very mean to me. I've been regaling them with stories of this person being just a menace, and I have fun telling those stories. And I think about this, and I think about the game I've been working on, which I haven't actually talked about that much on the podcast, but the fish dating simulator. I've been thinking about that game and going, I'm sorry if you heard that. I'm muting my phone. I've been thinking about that game and going, what am I what is the story, what is the thing that I'm communicating? Not necessarily a story, but I'm communicating something. And a big part of that is frustration about dating apps. I don't like dating apps. And I was like, but that's a cheap sentence, right? There's more to say there, because it's not, oh, I don't like dating apps. And I can describe this all that I want to. I can tell you every single thing that I don't like about dating apps. I can tell you everything that I do like about dating apps. I can get into this whole rant. I can illustrate it with stories. I can do a million different things, but I can't make you feel the specific emotion that I get when I interact with a dating app. Nor can I make you feel the weird version of disdain that I have for them, while also being like, it kind of feels like a necessary evil kind of thing, right? I can't give you that. And you might relate to it, and you might even hear me say this and go, no, I understand exactly what you mean. And you might be completely wrong. Even when I make one of these games, even when somebody makes a novel, whatever I make, you're going to, interact with it, and you're going to have your own interpretation of it even then. I can't pass my experiences on to other people. I cannot make people feel the way that I have felt in that way. I can try, but then I'll never know if they actually feel the way that I felt. Sometimes you get this connection where you go, oh, they get it. Sometimes you notice, you go, oh, this person actually gets this. We're on the same page. And that's a beautiful thing. When you connect with somebody on that level, you go, oh, wait, you understand it the way that I understand it. That's nice. And I think that's part of the reason that I try to make things and tell stories and do this podcast and all of these different things. I'm trying to find ways to communicate my experiences so vividly that at the very least you look at those experiences and you go, oh, I'm getting some understanding of this person's emotional experience. I'm getting some level of understanding of where they're coming from that is deeper than what I would get if they just told me, I dislike this thing and it is frustrating to me, but I also feel that I have to use it. Right? Some more interesting conversation than dating apps objectify you and turn dating into a shopping like experience that kind of feels like you're gambling, and it is a weird waiting game and like a strange marketing thing. Like that's that's a fine way to explain it, but I want to go deeper. There's some specific element of this experience that needs to be communicated in a different way. And this is what I love about game development, because I can communicate the experience through so many different angles. I am not just showing you visuals. I am not just showing you, oh, this is scary looking, which is cool, valid, wonderful. I'm not just giving you spooky music. I'm not just giving you a story. I'm giving you interactivity. This is why I'm passionate about this. It's interactivity, story, music, art. It is everything I can possibly do to communicate with you. And it's not that I want you to know, this is the hardest part about it. I don't want people to see things exactly as I see them. I just deeply want people to understand the view that I'm having of something. Or at least the lens through which I'm viewing it. And they may have a different interpretation of that lens. And I'm never going to make a 100% honest lens. I'm not going to go, oh, this is exactly how I view this thing. No, I'm going to mess with it and make it funny and do whatever. And it's not going to be completely honest. But it's going to be a perspective that I think is intriguing and valuable and fun. I feel that is exciting in and of itself. Even if I'm not perfectly communicating my particular feelings about a thing. I'm communicating a perspective that I have had that I found interesting. And that's it. That's game development for me. And I don't know of another place in my life where I can do that in that way. Right? Like, except for like very deep relationships with other people, which I try to foster. But even then, I don't think that hits the same note. There's just something about it. There's something about these creative pursuits, man. You can do incredible stuff that you couldn't otherwise do. And you can connect with people in ways that are very strange, arguably like weirdly parasocial, because it's like you're just sending a message out into the world. You can do that and not, at the same time, not really fully get the message across. And that's half of the beauty of it. That's everything I have for you this week, but I can't leave without asking you a question. I'm not going to answer this one because I already did. Here is your question for the week. What do you love about game development? That's it. What do you love about game development or creativity or games? But mostly, I'm interested in the development side of things, because answering that question for me, that felt nice. That was a beautiful reminder for me. That was a nice way to connect with the reasons that I do the things that I do. And that's kind of the reason why I work this whole construction thing. Because in the long run, it is going to enable me to keep working towards the stuff that I really love. Like, deeply love doing, which is creating stuff. And maybe one day it just becomes a hobby. Maybe one day it becomes a full-on career. I can't know that. I can't predict the future. But what I do know is that if I commit wholeheartedly into game development right now, there's a chance that it goes well. There's a chance that it goes poorly. If it goes poorly, I'm going to lose so much. If it goes well, I might lose so much. The odds of it going well to a degree where it like has a positive impact on my life, those odds are really bad, actually. Because if it goes incredibly well, I might be in trouble. And if it goes incredibly poorly, I'd definitely be in trouble. And odds are I don't make enough money off of game dev within a certain time span, and then I'm in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to get ahead of that. I'm going to prepare in a way that enables me to keep developing games with less intensity on any given day, but with a more long-term, sustainable perspective. And my goal has always been long-term, sustainable game development. Anyway, my question was, what do you love about game development? I am tired, and it has caused me to ramble and get off track. Thank you a million times over. I guess 104 times over at least. I probably said it every time, but thank you again for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you. I will keep grinding it out. I will keep getting these episodes posted at the same time. That is a part of my dedication to developing games. No matter what happens, I'm doing something for game development every single week of my life. That's the deal. All right. Thank you for joining me. And get out there, make some stuff, and have fun with it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.